tmill, come out and play.
Play it loud.
I'm Amy Wasyluka. I'm running for Alabama State Senate District 2, and I'm here at the Maitland Conservatory with tmill.
We're changing the status quo one voice at a time, through music, edutainment, children, and awareness. We're progressing and preserving the culture through real conversations with people who've had real success. Multicultural artists and musicians, models, entrepreneurs, innovators, and activists. This is Paradox East, and you are in tune with tmill. Powered by the maitlandconservatory.org.
Thank you for listening to In Tune with tmill.
All right, welcome everyone to another special episode of In Tune with tmill. I'm your host, tmill, live from the Rocket City. You will now be encouraged and entertained. Nothing will change until you change something. There's a lot going on here today, so y'all have to just bear with me and just ride with me on this journey that we're doing today, okay? So today is a very special edition of In Tune with tmill. We are collaborating with some friends. You will hear more about them in the coming weeks, or rather in this episode, because we're adding a video element to the episode. So I want to give a big shout out to Melissa and James for helping us out, and they've got a lot of things that they're working on that you're going to hear about on In Tune with tmill. Joining us a little bit later will be my co-host, Marcus Sims. I want to definitely recognize him as coming on and joining the show as the new co-host. He's been down with me for a couple years, and y'all know he's been with me, but now we're going to make it official. We're going to make him an honorary member of In Tune with tmill. So today, we're going to talk about empathy, down to earth, someone you can relate to, open-minded, serving the people. You know, these are traits of someone we all hope to elect, and more importantly, someone that will get the job done. So when you put the greater good ahead of yourself and your peers, and to those that oppose you, the universe will definitely thank you. I'm pretty sure that's a fact. And empower you beyond your wildest imagination. My guest is doing just that, putting people over party, 10 toes down in the streets, meeting people that inspire the dreamers, and changing the status quo. We're not here to talk about parties. We're not here to talk about one party versus the other. We're here to talk about people with a shiro, Miss Amy Wasyluka. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here. I can't wait to talk with you and your viewers and kind of let you know what my campaign is about. And really, it's summed up the best in our slogan, which is people over party, which basically means that we are there. We want to represent all of the people of State Senate District 2, which is what I'm running for.
Yeah.
Regardless of what side of the county line they live on, regardless of whether they vote for someone with an R or a D next to their name, and regardless of what football team they cheer for.
Yeah, that's important.
It is. We want to make sure that we're representing all of the people and looking for real solutions to the matters that are facing Alabamians, and specifically here in North Alabama.
Absolutely. Now, for the people that are wondering, where is District 2? Let's break it down so they'll know, because they may not even know that you're in their district. So where is District 2?
District 2 encompasses the entirety of the city of Madison. We cover Harvest all the way up to the southern portion of Tony. We cover East Limestone. We also cover portions of Huntsville, all the way down to the Democratic headquarters on Jordan Lane and Oakwood Country Club, as well as over near Bridge Street. Finally, we have the residential portion of the Arsenal. So if you're in any of those areas that I just mentioned, I am running to be your next state senator.
Absolutely. And if you're in any of those areas, chances are you've seen her out and about. You've seen her team canvassing. She's, put some holes in the bottom of her shoes and just been on the streets and meeting people in different places, which is so important. Throughout this journey, what's so far, because you've got a long way to go, but so far, what's been the most exciting part of this journey?
The most exciting thing has been getting on the streets and talking to the people. We have an aggressive canvassing campaign, and we've been out there since before the primary in June talking to people about the issues that really matter to them. And so far, our message about improving healthcare, improving public education, improving an opportunity to earn has really been resonating with people around our district, which tells us that we're on the right path and we're offering solutions for the future.
Absolutely. And solutions is very important, because you can have someone that's doing a lot of promises or, telling what they will do that the other person's not doing, instead of actually getting the feedback from the people and delivering on that, and getting their feedback, which is very important. Throughout going through this, how do you maintain your peace of mind and humor through all the feedback and negativity? Because I got to imagine there's got to be, at the end of the day, when you go home and you have to take all that with you, when you go home, how do you maintain your sensibility and just, not letting it get to you?
Well, there's a lot of that. I am running on a Democratic ticket, and we know that we have a supermajority here in Alabama.
Yeah.
So we go into it realizing that we may not always be talking to people who understand what we're running for, who understand that we're running on issues, not on parties, trying to make people's lives better. So we know that going in, and so we're trying to change hearts and minds. We're trying to focus on the issues. And for every person who gives you a negative comment, who maybe shuts you down, that's still someone who hadn't heard your message, who hears you this time. And we didn't get here overnight. We're not going to change the world overnight either. So every negative comment, every perceived setback is not necessarily a setback. We look at it like chopping down a tree.
Wow.
Every time you chop down a tree, the tree may not fall, but you're one swing closer to making that tree fall. You're one person closer to making sure that people understand your message, understand why you're there, understand that we're out there trying to truly advocate for the best interest of our community. So
Absolutely.
You take that into consideration, and then the negative comment doesn't seem so personal. It just seems like a step on the journey.
Absolutely. That's very important. And ladies and gentlemen, my co-host has just joined me, Mr. Marcus Sims. And I've got your mic right here, good brother. You know how we roll.
Yeah, my motto is better late than late. So,
there you go.
I mean, what's time anyway, right? But I always happy to be here in tune with tmill, changing the status quo. That's what we do here. And I'm just, right now, I don't want to interrupt the ebb and flow of the interview, but glad to be here. Nice to meet you. And of course, it's everyone who's watching us online. We're Facebooking Live.
Absolutely. We've got some changes, bro. I don't know if you noticed. We stepped up a little bit.
Right, I do. I know it looks like Tony Stark's lab in here or something. I see all these monitors and all these buttons I want to push, and red buttons and do not touches and stay out of the ways and skulls floating around here. So I don't know. It's going on. Maitland Conservatory is always on the come-uppance, which is always great to hear and see firsthand the technology growth that's going on here at Maitland Conservatory.
Absolutely. And right before we got started, I wanted to, recognize you for joining as the official co-host on In Tune with tmill.
That's right.
And again, you've been down for a long time. Marcus Sims of WJAB joining us on this episode and this journey on In Tune with tmill. So, Amy, in your experiences growing up to campaigning to now, why do you think people have become so divided, and not just differences of opinion, but just so divided on things that they think separates us, but we have a lot of common issues? But why do you think we've become so divided on just parties and things like that?
Well, for example, here in Alabama, I think we've always had an issue with supermajorities. Mm-hmm. We've had supermajorities on the Democratic side, we've had supermajorities on the Republican side, and when we've had supermajorities, they typically function in the same way. They do what they perceive as necessary to maintain power. They use talking points, which tend to play to their base and be more divisive. And it's in a bid to maintain power, maintain the status quo, and maintain the good old boys club. And they don't have to necessarily look at what the best interests of the people are because they have this power. And so when you have a supermajority like that, I think it shouldn't be unexpected to have them come out with divisive talking points. But that's what we have to talk to people about, that it is not necessarily about Democrat or Republican at this point. Yeah. It is about making people's lives better. And supermajorities, regardless of what party they are just not good for democracy, because our two-party system will not function. It will continue to be more and more divisive until we have balance. And I always put it in terms of balance in the Force, but that's probably too dorky of a Star Wars reference.
No, that's totally.
Although I appreciated your Tony Stark one.
Okay, yeah.
I feel right at home now.
Right. Awesome.
Absolutely. And so talking about differences and just, again, having that common ground, creating that balance, what's been one thing that you've learned so far? I mean, I know you've learned a lot being out here and meeting and talking to people, but what's been one of the things that you've learned
Well, I've
so
learned that
far.
when we lead with the issues rather than with the party label, that's when we can really drill down to what matters to people. And we're not very far apart. Everybody wants their children to be healthy. Everyone wants their children to be able to go to good, well-funded schools. Everyone wants, there to be opportunities present for their children so that they have something to do to provide for their families once they get out of high school and not be saddled with crushing debt. So these are things that people of both parties want. We just have to present to them new and different solutions because we've seen where we are. Right now, we're 46th, 47th, and 48th in the country in terms of healthcare, education, and opportunity to earn a living. Those are
Whoa, wow. Say that one more time for the people in the back. Say that one more time.
46th, 47th, and 48th in the nation.
That's crazy.
We're basically last in all of the things that are the building blocks of the American dream.
Right.
You can't work or go to school if you're not healthy. You can't get a good job if you don't have the training or education for it. And you can't stay here and put down roots if we don't have the opportunity for you to get jobs which allow you to support your family here.
Yeah.
So my campaign, I am an appellate attorney by trade, which basically means I love statistics. So when we chose the issues we were running on, we feel like we're in a situation where we have to triage. We have to focus on these because they are the most pressing concerns, and they are the things that we need to change most urgently in Alabama, which is why we want to do things like expand Medicaid, make sure that we keep our rural hospitals from closing, bring 30,000 jobs to Alabama, get 300,000 working Alabamians out of using emergency room care, which is the most expensive form of care for their primary doctor's visits, and into preventative care, which is the cheapest form of care and which should contribute to decreasing premiums, because I know everyone's upset that the premiums have been rising.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what my campaign is about. We're trying to offer real, legitimate, and different solutions to some of the problems that have faced our state since, 10 plus years.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned one of the things that you're, one of the causes and one of the things that you guys are running on, which is the Medicaid expansion.
Yes.
What are some of the other issues and some of the other solutions, rather, that you guys are looking at?
Well, one of the other issues that we're looking at, for example, is doing a better job of supporting an opportunity to earn in our district. And that doesn't mean necessarily looking just at education and just at four-year colleges. Yeah. Right now, we have not done the job that we need to support our trades and our trade schools.
Wow.
For example, we have a class of plumbers retiring with no one to come behind them to fill those positions. We also have thriving aerospace trade programs here, or not trade programs, we have thriving aerospace industries here in our district.
Well, where do they go to train?
The closest place that they can go to train, the closest place that has a comprehensive airframe and power plant training program to allow people to get these jobs which are created in our district is Nashville. The next closest one is Fort Rucker. So as a result, we are this close to the Rocket City.
Yeah.
But yet we don't have the training programs that allow the people who live here to get the jobs which are created here. And it's not an insignificant number of jobs.
Yeah.
Just one company hires on average 10 to 13 people every week.
Wow.
And good paying jobs, they promote people internally.
Yeah.
And it's well past time that we as a state do something to ensure that the people who live here get the benefit of the good, well paying jobs that allow them to stay here.
That is very important. Marcus, what about you? Any questions, or what are some of your thoughts on, because we're talking about, and those of you guys that are watching on Facebook Live, we're talking about people over party. We're not talking about the red and the blue and the different sides and all that. We're talking about neighbors, community, people, and things that matter to all of us at the end of the day. And when you think of people over party, what do you think about?
I think it's, as we just mentioned, it's looking at the issues. I think here in this area, in this state, what are some of the things that people want? And then you break down what's going on here in Huntsville, particularly what's going on here on the north side of Huntsville. Yeah. Some of the things that clearly North Huntsville needs, wants, and deserves. And of course, we turn to our political leaders and hope they can make this happen or hear the needs of the people. That's what we've always wanted. I think that's the job of any elected official, is to look at what the people need and hopefully work on it, work and strive to it. But you put aside political division and work towards helping people in your community, whether it's North Huntsville, South Huntsville, whether it's someone in another little area that you think you can kind of bypass. But we all want the same things. We all want security for our families. We want to go home to a safe neighborhood. We want to be paid fairly, all the above. Also, one of the things I know, since we're throwing out statistics, tmill, I was looking up on my phone, and Alabama is also number one in football Yes, we didn't know that. And T-Mill, we lead the nation number 4 in pickup trucks. So, I mean, Alabama holds it down in a lot of areas that we didn't know about. So, I mean, but also I'd like to ask, what are some of the things that kind of surprise you that the people in our communities or within the state aren't addressing, or some of the things that you're a little surprised that they're not speaking up on? Because it always surprises me come election time, the folks who you'll hear talk a lot of garbage, before the candidacy, but then when it's time to vote, the lines are really, really short. I mean, in fact, I can go to my polling station and get in and out within about 2 minutes. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's good for my patience, but bad that there should be a lot more people. I should be standing in line. I should give my boss a good reason why I'm running late to work. Absolutely. But what are some of the things that surprise you?
Well, that has surprised me, but I think again that's a symptom of we come from a state where supermajorities are not uncommon. Mm-hmm. We need to give people a reason to get out and go vote because we have not had elected state leadership that frankly deserves our vote in some of these areas. Mm-hmm. We haven't had elected state leadership which has made the changes they need to ensure that our public schools are well funded and that it doesn't matter where you grow up, you can go to a good, decent, quality public school education. We have not had state leadership that looks for ways to inject more funding into our education system or treats our teachers with respect. So we need to give, it's a twofold system. Yeah. People need to do a better job of educating themselves on who they're voting for and getting out to vote and understanding just how important that process is. But we also, as, candidates seeking office, need to give people a reason to be inspired, a reason to go vote, and a reason to feel like their voice is going to be heard.
Well, I think you've done, and a lot of other candidates have done a great job in educating the people who they are, introducing themselves by going out to the neighborhoods, going out to the communities, because as crazy as it sounds, everyone may not have internet access to go and look up the websites and follow up, or they may not know where to look. I can attest to it that sometimes it's extremely difficult to find about who's running sometimes. So it's like, I don't know who's running. I don't know who to do my homework on. But then when you guys make it easy by meeting the people in the community, then okay, we can meet at the barbershop, the brewery, the church, the high school, the game, whatever. And then we can have a face-to-face conversation and you kind of know. So that's always a good place to start, is where are the candidates, in your community. And if they aren't in your community, then you might need to challenge them on it.
And frankly, we have to do that anyway, my campaign, because who can spell Wasyluka?
I can. It's written down somewhere.
You can't because it's written down. Right. So it's going to take a while, I feel, for most people to try and find that on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've been trying to actively get out, let the voters engage, and also to let them know, kind of why I'm running. Because, I think when you see candidates, we look so polished a lot of times, and people may not realize where we're coming from. Mm-hmm. I have experience firsthand with a lot of the issues that I'm running on. I am a half-deaf childhood cancer survivor. Wow. So I know what it's like to not have access to quality comprehensive health care and the difference that can make on your ability to work, on your ability to find a job. Yeah. So I know that can be a matter of disability or not, or life or not for Alabamians. Wow. So I have felt that personally. And I know what it's like for teachers. Both my parents are now retired. They were public school teachers for many, many years at the middle school level. Yeah. And I've seen as their salaries went, less and less far. Yeah. I saw as more and more demands were put upon them, and they seem to get less and less respect in our state legislature. And those are some of the things that really need to change and really need to be addressed. And we do need to do a better job of changing policy at the state level to make sure that we're taking care of these very basic building blocks.
Absolutely. I mean, could you imagine the difference teachers would make if they got paid like college coaches? Could you imagine how inspired and how empowered they would be to get into a classroom? I'm pretty sure they would wake up and get there a lot quicker, making some of these salaries.
They got paid like an assistant coach.
Right, just an assistant coach, right. Yep. So absolutely. Now, talking of your couple more questions before we get out of here. And if you guys have any questions on Facebook, you guys are watching on Facebook Live, please drop your questions in the comment section and we will get them to Amy to answer you. And any questions that you have or anything that we didn't cover, make sure you drop those questions in there. For your campaign and your team, because again, it's one thing to have an idea and get a team out, But how do you? I mean, are you bribing them with chicken wings and like free food and like gas for a year? Like what? How do you keep people engaged and keeping your team so solid?
Well, my team is an all-volunteer team.
Yeah.
So they are doing this out of the goodness of their hearts and because they believe in the message.
Yeah.
And we are actively trying to reach more and more people to get them to come help with our campaign. We canvass every weekend, every Saturday from 11 to 1, 1 to 3, and 3 to 5. Every
Yeah.
Sunday from 1 to 3 and 3 to 5 because we've got to have that time for church.
There you go.
I know. We phone bank every Wednesday from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So the more people we've talked to, the more people we tell about our message, the more people we talk to about solutions for some of the problems that are facing Alabama.
Yeah.
We bring people in. If you want to sign up to be part of our team, we take volunteers over our website, over our email, which I can leave with y'all. We are very, very happy to always be recruiting and have people join our campaign.
And Marcus, I've seen people of all ages, colors, backgrounds, because just in my mind, I always think that it's older people that, go to volunteer, but then there's a lot of younger people that are volunteering. And then these are teenagers, just high school kids and people from different walks of life, all different ages. They could be doing anything else, but they believe in a cause and they're volunteering their time and effort to come out and believe in something.
So excited by the sheer number of young people we've had.
That
It's
is
so
excellent.
encouraging.
And that's even, we need to have more come out, especially, we know those guys who are 21 or older who they need to be going out and making their vote count.
Absolutely.
Not to think about it, go out and do it.
Just do
Make
it.
yourself aware of the issues ASAP. I don't think it's something you have to research all day and all night. A lot of them put it out there pretty clear,
Yeah.
and some of it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But especially when we got these elections coming up, you need to go out and vote. Especially we know where the youth can make a difference. People 21 or older, those who have just received that right and can go out and vote, should make their vote count. We need people in North Huntsville to fill up ballot boxes and all that good stuff.
Treat voting polls like we treat sporting events.
Right.
That would be so easy.
Yes, and we have such an opportunity in 2018. This is an exciting election.
Right.
It's the one to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
It is the time, for everyone to come out and make sure that their voice is heard. We have an opportunity to really offer a referendum on we are tired of elected officials who are not going to treat our issues seriously.
Right.
We're tired of the good old boys club and of politics as usual and this trading and kind of divisiveness and fear. We can start offering real solutions, respectful discourse, conversations about how we get there. This is the time.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we need to get fired up.
So you guys,
Definitely.
we have to come out and get fired up. And shout out to whoever's blowing up my phone because my phone's going crazy over there.
Hey.
So they're probably excited about voting and want to know where to vote. So that's.
But don't vote today.
Don't vote today.
No,
Yeah.
November 6th. November
6th.
6th are the midterm elections.
Now, there's a young girl that's out there right now that's watching, that's listening. A young girl who thinks that she can't do what you're doing. She thinks, I'm a girl, I can't run for office, so I have to be a certain color, I have to be a certain weight, I have to be a certain background, I have to be rich, all these different things. What would you say to that? What is your advice to that girl right now?
I will tell her that I'm a half-deaf adopted childhood cancer survivor. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. There are always going to be people who tell you that you can't do this.
Right.
There are people who told me I could do this because I was too young, I was a woman.
Wow.
I have, gone through health issues and they only apply to me and they're not going to resonate with people.
Wow.
And my dad was a football coach, and so I always have, football sayings in my head.
Yeah.
And there's one from Rocky that
Okay.
it's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't do something. Just use that as motivation to go out and do it. If you want to do it and you believe that you can make a difference, the only thing that matters is that you have your and your community's best interests at heart. And don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise.
Absolutely. Definitely get out there and do it. And then last but not least, why is it important to vote locally? Because I could be wrong, but I feel like if we would vote more locally, that would sort of take care of a lot of the other things in Washington, and that would sort of help, but why is it so important to vote locally?
Well, our state and local races really have the greatest impact on our day-to-day lives when you think about it. When we expand Medicaid at a local level, that's 300,000 Alabamians who will get health care. That's the difference between health care or not for 300,000 people.
Yeah.
At the federal level, we talk about issues that are sometimes far removed, but this state level, we are talking about you and what can happen to you today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, because it's, it's so local and it doesn't always get the coverage that national politics does, don't always realize how very, very important it is and how big of a difference it can make.
Absolutely.
And if you want to see how big of a difference you can make in your state and local elections, I encourage you to come canvass, find a candidate. You can watch people change. You can watch them understand what's at stake with the issues that we're talking about, and watch the excitement build to 2018.
Absolutely. Marcus, anything?
Just once again, for those who are just tuning in or aren't aware, November the 6th, that is the date, right?
November 6th.
So put it in your phone, make a note, put a sticky note on your refrigerator, remind a friend or two, because don't talk about it, be about it on November 6th. Your boss will let you off. Trust me, your boss will, I think it's pretty much a legal thing. They gotta let you vote. If not, things have changed under that I haven't figured out yet. But I think, pretty much they'll let you go out and vote and do your thing and take the time and make yourself aware of the candidates also. Especially, as Tim said, locally, regionally, I'm using sports regionally or whatever. Yeah. But make yourself aware. And are these candidates that stand up for your issues, things that you believe in, things that go with your core family beliefs and all that. But November the 6th, put that down on your calendar. Put it in your phone right now if you hear me.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when you go out to vote, bring 5 people with you. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors, bring someone down the street, bring a neighbor that you don't know. Just say, hey, you going to vote? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it does matter. But even if you're voting for opposing people, just get out there and vote. If you ever need, this is your excuse to call out of work. If you ever need an excuse to call out of work, go make it happen. Go out, vote. It's early in the morning. Get out there Tuesday morning. Don't wait until the nighttime in the evening when everybody gets off of work. Go do it early in the morning. Parking lots are out there. You could do your thing. Just get out there and vote. Bring 5 people with you. Also, and then the other thing is, find out how you can contribute. Just like Marcus said, learn about the candidates. Get online. Find out, who they are, what they stand for, where are they going to be next, so you can meet them, so you can shake their hand or ask them a question face to face. We know more about actors and entertainers than we do about the people that's running for the office that we stay in. Right, yeah. So we can tell you more about entertainers than we can tell you about the candidates that make the decisions about where we live. I'm sorry, Cardi B, I love her to death, but she's not going to change anything in my life that's going to help my kids. I'm sorry. She may make great music, make a dance, but it's just not going to happen. Right. So get out there and vote. And shout out to everybody that's doing the elections. Shout out to everyone that's doing the signing up and getting people registered to vote. There's a lot of people that are doing parties and just different scenes to get people registered to vote. And especially if you think that you can't vote, still go and register. Because a lot of people think that they can't vote. Maybe they had a felony, or maybe they did some time at one point. But please get out there and register to vote, or find out if you are eligible to vote. Please get out there and do that. There are a lot of different resources out there to find out if you are eligible to vote. And chances are you are eligible to vote, because the list of what you can't, of who can't vote is very short, if I'm not mistaken. It's not that many. It's a couple different things, but you can get out there and vote. Chances are. So please get out there and vote. Amy, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us and have this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And anything that you want to leave with the people? Anything?
I just want, the people to really think about who they're voting for this November 6th, and make sure you're voting for someone who does put people over party. Yeah. Because when I say that, I'm an attorney. I deal with reading and interpreting legislation for a living. So I know how legislation should work. I'm in this for the right reasons. I want to offer different solutions to the problems that are facing Alabama. Make sure you are questioning your candidates, and that they're able to answer your questions satisfactorily, and that their heart is in the right place, and that they are working for you. And even after they're elected, make sure that they know they're still working for you, because they are. Yeah. We need to make sure that when our candidates vote, that we hold them accountable, that we ask questions, that we're engaged in the political process, because that's how we're going to make change and we're going to make improvements in our state.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amy. And this has been another episode of In Tune with T-Mill. Thank you guys for watching live, and everyone that's been watching the videos. Shout out to Melissa. Shout out to James. Shout out to everybody that's supporting. We are powered by the Maitland Conservatory, where we are now, and produced by Sunshine Enterprises. See you guys on the next episode.